Sure. So my name is Kimberly Zambrano, and I am a creative wellness teaching artist. I do teach a lot of diverse kind of families about social emotional learning and art therapy techniques through different art workshops. That's something I've been able to participate through art councils, and actually with the opportunity of New York State Education and a grant that I was able to participate in. But I'm also a mental health advocate. I also am an advocate of domestic violence as well, but also, you know what, actually an author, might as well stick it in, and I would say a multicultural artist as well, because I don't only stick to just one medium, so yeah. Well, usually in first dates, I tend to be kind of very open to a certain extent. But I would say maybe something that I don't really ask is something that's very important to me. So I'm very family oriented. So I have to kind of get that out there. I really want to see kind of where they're coming from in terms of how close they are with their family, if that's something that they see themselves carrying along, growing a family that's very unique, but also, very close. So that to me is maybe one of the first things I ask. But also I would say same thing. There was a thought that came to me also with therapy. I thought that was very interesting because I don't think therapy is usually talked about, one of the first kind of dates, but I'm open to it. I have no problem. I myself have been going to therapy. So, as helping people in mental health, I think it's important to help yourself. So, yeah. I would say well, with me, I like structure. I am what I give to myself, I expect in return. So sometimes that could be a little too extreme for certain people, but that's something, I would rather get out of the way, because I would really want to see, are we gonna move forward and grow together, or is this something that maybe it's going to be right now and then we'll grow apart. So that to me is very important, just because I myself, again, I like stability. I fought so much from my younger adolescence to now to really fight for that stability. So, I want to keep that consistent. So that's something for sure that has to be included. So, as a younger child, I actually passed through domestic violence from the age of, I want to say, really 5 years old until maybe 13, 14. And I never really grew up seeing healthy relationships, and I've never really seen kind of what it is to be supportive of a person until I started implementing that little by little myself. So I think in this part, it's important to, again, focus on what is a healthy relationship, right? What is something that I know that will support me and the other person, where, again, we're growing and flowing together rather than going against or forcing something, right? So to me, that's something very important, again, to have healthy relationships and have that importance on, again, trying to either heal what has happened or what we can do kind of to move things forward, to make sure, I'm the better version of me and they're the better version of themselves. Yeah, if that makes sense. So at first, actually, my first version of therapy was domestic violence therapy, and that was something to me that I was like, whoa, I didn't even know we had therapy for this. It was okay, I'm not gonna lie. I had a good therapist at first, and then they ended up switching them, so then to me, I'm already ooh, it's not stable. To me, red flag, But it's okay, I still went through it, but then again, it still opened my other avenues for what is therapy, what are different versions of therapy, and how can I not only help myself, but help others as well. So again, to bring back a little point of the mental health, other things that kind of helped, cope with everything was really art. I had this art teacher that really helped me while my parents were going through that messy divorce process. And she told me, she sat down when I was very unstable at a certain point, and I was like, I can't do this. She said, stop, put in everything and any emotion through your art. Let that be a voice for you. For me, I was like, oh, I always thought it was just, a creative outlet. That was something I was able to do. But once I really was able to put myself through the art, everything really spoke. I really connected not only with myself, but the viewers, families, women that never got their voice recognized could resemble pieces that, were very deep and personal to me in my childhood, and they could relate. Their little girls and boys can relate to my pieces. So to me, I'm like, this is it. I found my niche, I found my people. So then ever since then, I've really just been flowing with my art and again, trying to get people to connect with not only their emotions, but again, their creative side to then heal different parts in different ways that we're not taught to. And maybe that's not, again, trained, but that's the point. We're humans, we develop, we change. And that's important to include too, the different, changes within ourselves, but, what we offer to ourselves.
For sure.
So right now, like I said, I'm trying to develop more social emotional learning based workshops, including with art therapy, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people who don't know that science and the minds of like psychology merges so well with art and actually heals, right? Same thing that there's, believe it or not, music therapy, there's pet therapy now. They bring in like different dogs, different animals to different situations, whether it's like professional businesses, children's hospitals. So there's so many different avenues, right? There's also child life therapy. So they help kids that are about to prepare for very serious surgeries, something that could be impactful. And sometimes, unfortunately, they don't always make it out. But again, they have certain people already there to guide the family from beginning to end. Even like with play toys, like showing babies how it is to get an IV. And again, those avenues open to me like, wow, so there's so much more that we don't know yet that's just formulating. And again, how can I contribute to something that I personally see will be long lasting and really impacting, like straight up. Yeah, and like I said, I personally have been trying to do and practice these things that I've researched in person, and it works, and it really makes me happy to see that, I'm starting something new that, is, like I said, working, and hopefully will continue to grow. So many kids I see that they want to pursue art and they're told in their families, oh, you won't make it. There were so many opportunities that, I really was going to go do the whole art school thing, but I've had so many art teachers tell me, you can't, you won't make, there won't be anything. I proved them all otherwise. So, and I'm very proud to say that and continue to say that because, again, I want to be the proof that to show you can. Don't listen, you can. Yeah. Oh my God. So I've had a lot of interesting first dates, but I don't know. I feel like one of the maybe weirdest kind of first dates, I ended up going to like a date and stuff, and then we were like, oh, you know what? We're gonna hang out to watch Game of Thrones. I've never watched Game of Thrones and stuff. But there, believe it or not, I got to see the person's sibling kind of go through a manic episode. And I was like, whoa, this is not okay. Like for a first date, ooh. So then I felt like I had to obviously contribute the experience that I have with social work to try to help him and like calm down the brother. But then I knew like this was a situation that I really shouldn't be in. So let me get the fuck out. But yeah, no, I would say, I did have an experience again where I saw kind of like a manic episode in a sense for the first time, and knowing this person for the first time, it was way like, whoa, this is too much at once. But again, it just really emphasized that mental health is so important to have a conversation of, and to be very like, again, transparent and try to be okay with certain boundaries and things like that, because when certain boundaries are crossed and you're not expecting to come into like a manic episode, it's a lot. So yeah, no, I would say that. But like maybe another question that was a little off was, I did mention a little bit about my past and stuff like that regarding domestic violence and things like that, but I could see that the other person was maybe just so disconnected. And they were just so disconnected because, again, they couldn't put themselves in my shoes. They've never really met someone who has gone through certain things like that. So that to me was something different as well, because I'm like, wow, I'm not used to people not understanding, right? So that's another portion that I think, that came along. And again, it gives me, the experience, I would say, to move forward, I guess. Yeah. For me, I say, well, three things. One, because I am an artist and I do take my work very seriously, there has to be that space of creativity. I have to have the time and the space, right, within my relationship to allow me to pursue my creative endeavors. If I get that taken away from me, I do feel very shut out. I feel like I'm not listening to myself. And that to me, again, I've lived so long like that in my adolescence. I refuse, really, in the name of everything I worked for, to allow that process to continue. So once I start seeing that, I already know it's not for me. So that, number one. Two, I feel like for me, like one of my love languages is quality time. So a lot of like quality time, but also time where, again, we can create together, we can explore together, but also share personal, intimate moments, right? Because it's important to have those close moments together. So that is definitely one. And the last one, I would say is just clear communication. I like to be catched up on most things. I like to catch up my other person. So communication for me is very key because, again, just because I'm a super busy person does not mean that I will not make the time for you. If I really care, that's not even a question. So yeah, those are my three things. Yeah. Yeah, so as of lately, as a kid, to help with like the domestic violence going on at home, I ended up trying a whole bunch of things in school. So I was the kid to do a lot of different sports, clubs, I mean, you name it, I've done it, literally. So for me now, I've picked up again running. Just because, again, before I was like, oh, running, it was a different coping mechanism. But now I take it as a coping mechanism of gaining strength, endurance, health, longevity. So to me, physical activity is very important now. Meditating. At first I was like, not against it, but I was like, oh, how does that apply to me? And same thing, starting college, I started using meditation and it had helped me through the most stressful times. And I'm like, wow, like I didn't realize when you're in oneness, everything really just aligns. So really, when you gain that oneness with yourself, like I said, everything really aligns. I can't even describe it. So meditation for me is very important, and yoga too, believe it or not, same thing, get the stress out of your body to release, because again, if it's not being released here, if it's not being released through the hands, it has to be through the body, because if not, sicknesses build, then you figure out through your body and other sorts, oh, it's too late. So to not wait too late, use those other, coping mechanisms. Yeah, and especially too, again, we deal with social work, you're always on the go, you're always dealing with crisis, you're always dealing with a lot of different things. So once you disconnect, it's important, genuinely disconnect, have yourself, remember who you are, remember what you're here to do, and keep going, keep listening to yourself, because that's never gonna stop. You're still gonna always be there at the end of the day. Yeah. I would say an ideal perfect day would be like if it's the summertime or like the spring, I really like to be outside. So maybe like a paint and sip, so something like that, where again, it's just like really relaxing. Again, we both get to be ourselves naturally, and whatever comes out, like again, everything will just form through the art itself and the art of life. So yeah, that's what you like. But anyways, my favorite color is lavender. Thank you.